Are you ready? Are you ready for your daily dose? Your daily dose of radio rehab.
By the skin of my teeth.
Yeah?
But I am ready.
Yeah,
I just made it.
You do. Yeah, maybe skin of the teeth, but you're ready, and that's
I'm
what
ready.
counts.
I'm here and I'm ready.
Hey, folks, welcome. Glad you're here and you're ready. Welcome into 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Welcome into this edition of Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillian. He's Jimmy Bryant, Ph.D. That means he produces, he hosts, and he directs.
That's right. I'm having a good day. I'm ready to dive in.
Yeah.
What have you got for me today?
Well, I've got LPC Carla McCormick. We let Jay's on vacation this week with the fam.
Good.
Hopefully he's getting some rest and enjoying himself. He will be back bright-eyed and bushy-tailed next Tuesday.
And he is missed.
Yeah, he will be missed, but in his place, of course, she's doing the work of two. LPC Carla McCormick.
I always have to work harder than the guys.
Yeah, well, come on now. Now. How you doing?
I'm good. Hi, fellas.
Hi.
Darn proud to be here.
So, you and I were chatting earlier at the office, and you raised a question about changing how easy or how hard, how difficult, or how simple is it to change the way you think?
Interesting.
It's simple but difficult.
Yeah. We're going to unpack that a bit this evening. And, there's a theory in psychology and specifically in counseling, and it's we'll talk about it, but it's ABC.
Yes.
And so we could say this is as easy as ABC. And quite honestly, in graduate school and when you're learning this stuff and you get to something as simple as ABC around the complexity of everything else that has to be studied and learned, you kind of gravitate to the ABC stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you were sharing earlier today. Okay, ABC, but how do we do it?
Right.
Yeah.
How do we help people do it?
How do we help people do it? We're going to unpack that this evening here on Strategies for Living. Folks, thank you for tuning in to Strategies for Living, presented by LSU Shreveport, where you can stay close and travel far. We are also brought to you by Azalea Cleaners. We're brought to you by the Robinson Film Center. Not too late. This is Give for Good Day, so not too late to give for good, especially for the Robinson. Also brought to you by Pintail Roofing, by Learning Rx, by Cannabis with Love, Hempress, 3766 Uri Drive in Shreveport, and by the Shreveport Little Theater. Back in a moment. ABC, how easy is it to change your thinking?
I'm packed and I'm holding, I'm smiling, she living, she golden, she lives for me, says she lives for me, ovation, motivation, she comes out and she goes.
As a senior and the current SGA president at LSUS, I've experienced firsthand what the university has to offer, including a welcoming campus, flexible class options, and 24-hour academic support. Facilities such as the Cyber Collaboratory and Idea Space are designed to prepare students for the 21st century workforce. That's why LSUS is the fastest growing higher ed institution in Louisiana. Visit lsus.edu to see how you can stay close and go far.
If your child has ADHD and reading issues, Learning Rx Shreveport can help. I'm Donisa Walker with Learning Rx Shreveport. More than 30% of children with dyslexia also have ADHD. That can make reading very difficult. At Learning Rx Shreveport, our brain trainers can improve your child's long-term memory, auditory processing, and logic and reasoning. Today, call Learning Rx Shreveport. Make an appointment to have your child assessed. I know you want to help your child, so does Learning Rx Shreveport.
Which dada am I supposed to come into?
You get to pick.
I get to pick? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome in. Welcome into 101. I just wasn't sure of my dada. You know,
I could go so many places.
I know you could. I know you could, but don't go there. Welcome in, folks. Welcome into 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome into Strategies for Living. Jimmy Bryant, not keeping me up on the dadas that he's playing.
You did great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. David McMillian and LPC Carla McCormick. He said I did great. He's the producer, and he's says I did. He's the Ph.D. and he said I did great.
That's
so,
right.
There you go. At least that's what I thought until a minute ago when you challenged it.
Ooh.
Look at what happened.
Mm-hmm.
How often does that, how often do we think something, and then a little minor something happens, just kind of like the exchange we just had, right?
Yeah.
And you were completely, messing around with me, joshing with me, but a lot of times, we don't know that people are messing around with us or joshing with us, and it throws us off. And when I shift my thinking from, I am doing pretty good right now, to, oh, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because, and what led to that? Your belief.
Yeah. So here's the ABC. I mentioned the ABC. Let's talk about that for a second, because we're really getting pretty basic with the ABCs today. Mm-hmm. There's a brand of therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy. And it's probably nowadays, even though, the TVs and the movies depict therapists, you therapy fellows,
Yes.
How do you feel about that? More often than not, it's depicted in the Rogerian, Carl Rogers, person-centered approach, focusing in on the feelings, right?
Right.
But in actuality, I think a lot of therapy today is somewhat cognitive based. It's based on, cognitive therapy, either a la Aaron Beck or a la Albert Ellis.
Yes.
And probably Albert Ellis, has the most widely taught, came up with the most widely taught simple approach, because it was literally as easy as ABC.
Yes.
All right, so A is whatever is happening. It's the event, right?
The activating event.
Activating event. That's A. And what people think is, well, the activating event caused me to feel this way. But that's C.
Right.
The activating event, according to cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as rationally motive therapy or rationally motive behavioral therapy, REBT, it basically says it's not what happens to you that creates a certain feeling. It's what you think about the activating event. So that's B. So it's the activating event at A, whatever that is. Let's just be real basic and simple. I wake up, I look out the window, and it's raining, and I feel very disappointed.
Right.
And I think the rain, I immediately go to, well, the rain has made me feel disappointed. What would you tell me, Miss Therapist?
I would tell you it's not the rain, it's your belief about the rain.
Okay, and
which
that's
would
the
be
B.
B.
Okay. All right, and so, if, again, I'm going to get real basic, real simple here. I wake up and my feet hit the floor. It's golfing day. I've been waiting to play golf with Jimmy. Mm-hmm. And, we had the date set. We're all ready. 6 o'clock in the morning, my alarm rings, my feet hit the floor. I open the window, and it's not just raining, it's pouring down rain. It's obvious we ain't playing golf today, right?
Right.
And so I obviously I think something along the lines of, this isn't right. This isn't fair.
It's going to be a bad day.
It's going to be a bad day completely.
Jimmy may never want to play golf with me again.
Oh, he probably won't.
It was so hard to get this set up.
Yeah.
And now we've blown our chance, and we'll never get to do it again.
Never. So do you see the ABC? There you go. And that results. The C is my feeling of deep sadness and disappointment. Okay?
Right.
How are you going to fix me? What you going to do?
I'm going to challenge your beliefs.
Okay.
So before I challenge your beliefs, let's talk about where those beliefs come from.
Okay.
So sometimes those beliefs come from within us, things that we've set up for ourselves in our own mind.
Right.
Sometimes they come from the adults, our
Right.
family of origin.
Right.
What we believe about that.
Right. You mean in terms of messages that were given to us as we grew up? Is that what you're talking about, or?
Yeah. If you were taught that if you don't make straight A's, you're a failure.
Right.
And now I have to go into this final, and my whole grade revolves around this final, and if I don't just nail it, I'm going to make a B in this class.
And that's and even though a B is above average, I'm a failure.
My grade point average might be 3.9.
Right.
I'm going to make
I'm
this
not a
B,
perfect
and I'm
4.0.
a failure.
Yeah.
And right? Because where did that belief come from? I don't know. Is it where you taught and then you came to believe it for yourself?
Right.
Usually, probably.
Right. Yep.
That was the intrinsic message you got. So now guess what happened? The consequences are I'm going to have a lot of anxiety. My heart's going to pound. I might get short of breath. I'm going to have all these physical symptoms because of my belief, right? Those would be the consequences.
And sometimes that kind of thinking, and not sometimes, most often, a lot of times, it's a pattern. And sometimes beginning to look at it and really beginning to work on it, you can see a lifetime pattern emerge.
Well, and as a therapist, what my job is to do is to challenge your belief system, to make you look at your belief system. Why do you believe what you believe? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Is it real? Is it true?
Yeah.
And you always say, is it absolutely, true? That you didn't get invited to that party because that person hates you.
Right.
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 And are you sure? Is that real? Is it true? Or did they just have a limit because they were only going to invite 20 people?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but now I'm caught in this spiral. Well, this person hates me. Everybody hates me. Nobody likes me. Just might as well go to the garden and eat worms.
And we get caught in a lot of those spirals. And before the hour's up, we're going to complete the ABCs with a D and an E, and we're going to unpack, what's some strategies, if you will. We are strategies for living, after all. We'll come up with some strategies that may help you break some patterns maybe that you've had your whole life, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We've tried.
Let's talk for a moment about the Robinson Film Center. This is a big day.
That's right.
Robinson is celebrating its 15th anniversary.
Happy birthday.
There's a lot went on at the Robinson today. But I tell you what you have not missed. It is Give for Good Day, and you still have time on the clock to give for good for the Robinson Film Center. There's no place like the Robinson, and it's their birthday. We want to give them a present. What better present to give them than to donate in their name to Give for Good? This is Give for Good Day. So Robinson Film Center, no place like it. Abby Singer's Bistro, full-service bistro and bar on the second floor. You can always find out what's showing at robinsonfilmcenter.org. So join the crowd, become a member, get discounts on movies, get concession upgrades, get bistro deals. RFC 617 Texas Street, robinsonfilmcenter.org.
Hi, this is Jay Merle for Pintail Roofing. Let's talk about quality. When you hire Pintail to build your roof, here's what you can expect. Quality and quality control are the most important concerns for us at Pintail, and you need to know that Pintail stands tall with swift and professional performance on any warranty call. This is our most important policy. And remember, we're your neighbors. We'll be here for you for the long haul. Our family's lived here for over 100 years, and we aren't going anywhere. On the commercial side of Pintail's business, our fluid-applied roofing solutions can save thousands of dollars over conventional commercial roofing options. Call Pintail at 226-ROOF for a free inspection of your home or commercial building. That's 226-7663. Pintail Roofing. What's the condition of your roof?
Easy as ABC. Just change your thinking, right? Yeah. Welcome back in to 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome back into Strategies for a Living. LPC Carla McCormick, Jimmy Bryant, David McMillian. Yeah, some of us even, that's a thought in and of itself. I don't want to get too complex or complicated here, but I should be able to change the thinking. I should be able to change that easy. And yet, the same thing keeps repeating over and over and over. And as a consequence, I feel lousy because remember the ABC thing. It's not the activating event. It's not what happens to you. It's what you think about what happens to you that creates the feeling and emotion, right?
And then what we don't often realize is our belief about the activating events or the thing that happened to you that often cause the consequences.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we it's our belief about what's happening that make the consequences better or worse, right?
Yeah, and we've got to unpack that in some way. A good way to do that would be go to therapy, go to counseling, go to therapy. But that's not the only way.
No.
I mean, it's a way that you and I are biased about this, right?
A little bit.
A little bit. But we recognize that. But, I think, you find a good counselor, you find a good therapist, and it's like gold. It can be like gold because you can do with a correct match as a therapist, you might be able to do years worth of work in 6 months worth of sessions, right?
Correct. Or
And-
sometimes even 3 months
or
worth of
even
session.
3 months worth. It's not a matter of if I go into therapy, I'm going to be in therapy for years.
No.
There are some people who go to therapy a long period of time, but the vast majority of people, I'd say on average, and I don't know, what yours is. I know over the 30 years I practiced, I'd say the average client, 10 sessions.
Yeah.
5 to 10
6
sessions.
months maybe.
Yeah. And, now people would come back. One of the things when you practice for 30 years, as I did, one of the neat kind of things is, people get whatever problem that they want to work on under some control. Our life just, says, okay, well, I've got to get on to other things now after working 3 months or 6 months. And you might not see that client for a year, 5 years, even 10, 15 years,
Right.
But then, here they come, and sometimes, it's like it was weird to me through the years. Sometimes I'd think of somebody, and then the next week they'd show up.
That happens
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Or you get a call and you see them on the schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That happened. I mean, that's why I say I don't believe in coincidence. I've had way too many quote unquote coincidences in my life to believe in coincidences. Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah. But the thought our thinking is and our beliefs, we've got to be able to observe that and we've got to be able to unpack those beliefs in a way that you were talking before break about challenging, you know. And that made some people say, I'm going to get challenged. It's not exactly like that. Say a little bit more about that.
Well, I think when I say challenges is I'm asking you to, because so many of those thoughts, those beliefs are automatic.
Yeah.
Right?
So when you say challenge, what you're really talking about is looking at it.
Well, I mean, it's my job as a therapist not to tell you what to think or not to tell you how to think, but more to hold up a mirror and say,
yes.
you know, here's what I see, and here's what happened, and here's where your belief about that, and where'd that come from?
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I mean by challenge. By challenge, I mean I'm asking you to dig deeper and recognize that you have this automatic thought, and then dig deeper and go, where'd that thought come from? Why do I believe that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and is it real? Is it true? Or is it something that I need to change?
Some people think when they begin to observe their thinking, you know, really look at it, they say, if you could get inside my head and you could see or you could experience what I'm thinking, it's all over the place. Carla, I must be nuts.
I feel crazy.
I feel crazy.
I hear that a lot. Yeah. And or they describe it as noisy.
Yeah.
It's really noisy in my head.
And I think it's important for us to say very forcefully and succinctly, no. That's the nature of thoughts. That's the nature of thinking. They're all over the place.
Well, and I think as little kids, at least for me, I was taught to control my behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until I was adult that I learned that I can actually control my thoughts. I can control my thinking.
Yeah.
Right? And
you might not be able to control what comes, but where the control is what you choose to focus upon. Because not every thought is worthy, if you will, of being focused upon.
Well, and it's my belief about those thoughts. If I had that thought, I must be a bad person. If the guy in Albertsons is rude to me and then I see him crossing the parking lot and my first thought is, I should run that old guy over.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And that's just a random, intrusive thought maybe. But
well, I'm getting out of your way in the Albertsons parking lot.
But then I can go, God, I must be a terrible bad person if I even thought about running over that old man, in the parking lot. You know, that would be my belief about my thought.
Yeah.
Or I can go, that's random. I'm not going to do that, and I can let it go.
Yeah. Or even chuckle at it. Where did that come from? So recognize the thought pattern if there's a pattern there, and then try to unpack that. Where did that come from? Because the understanding of where that perhaps came from sometimes can be very, very beneficial. My mother always said that, or that's something I heard over and over and over from my 5th grade teacher, right?
Right. Well, so when you explore those irrational thoughts, or you explore I guess, and you can go, well, that was crazy. Then now I have the ability to explore more rational thoughts. Well, I don't really run over that old man. It's just, I'm still angry.
Yeah.
Because he was rude. Right. Now I've had the thought. And instead of judging myself or being upset with myself to do it, I can rationalize and go, you would never do that.
You can shift from the judgment into the curiosity mode, right?
Right.
And in the curiosity mode might bring up some natural questions. Where did this come from? Who did I hear this from somebody, either directly or indirectly? What's my earliest memory of thinking in that pattern or that way? What would happen if I didn't think that way? I mean, you can get real curious, and when you get curious, the questions that you can begin to ask are almost limitless, right?
Well, and that's what I mean by challenge.
Yeah.
Right? I'm challenging you to challenge those thoughts.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you oftentimes say, is it true? And I go, yeah, it's true. And then you'll say, is it really, really true? Are you absolutely sure that that is true? And when you dig down deeper, you can go, well, I'm not absolutely 100% sure that that's true, right? And so now I'm questioning my own thoughts. I'm looking at them. I'm taking them out. In my mind, it's like I take it out of my head and I turn it around like a cube.
Right.
Like, and look
Like a
at it
Rubik's Cube, that
Yeah,
type,
look at
yeah,
it from
yeah.
all sides and all angles.
Yeah.
Instead of assuming that just because I'm looking at the yellow side, the whole cube is yellow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because there's red on another side and blue on another side, and I'll be doggone. Look at that. Yeah.
Right. And so that's what that's what I'm asking clients, and that's what I'm teaching clients and working with clients to do with their thoughts.
Right.
To look at them from all angles.
Right. And and I can guarantee. Now again, we're talking about I don't know, upwards of 90%, probably upwards of 95% of the population are gonna who say to themselves, "I must." If you could get in my head, you would tell me I'm crazy. There are real issues and problems, but there's such a small percentage of people who are affected by something like an extreme mental disorder, like let's say schizophrenia, as one example. The vast majority of people who are hearing us right now fall into the category of that. What's fueling what's going on is a story, a message, a belief that came from somewhere, and more often than not, when we really unpack it and examine it, it's not even ours.
Right.
It belongs to somebody else, but we bought into it. We heard it enough that we just bought into that, and we never challenge it within ourselves. In fact, sometimes we're even afraid to challenge. I mean, think of religious beliefs. Think of how many, and I don't mean to pick on anybody. And I'm not talking about any particular religion. We could talk about all of them. Have we ever unpacked those beliefs and made them ours? Or do we just say, oh, well, I was taught that, and I just take it for granted? Well, then it belongs to somebody else. It really doesn't belong to us.
Well, and even it could be something as simple as, like, I grew up in a house where no one rested and no one took naps, right? And if you took naps or you just sat on the couch, you were lazy, right?
You had to be doing all the
something.
time. Yeah.
So it took me a long time to realize, wait a second, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Why do I believe that about myself?
Yeah, great example.
And that, wait, I work really hard. It's okay if I want to sit on the couch on a Saturday afternoon.
It's okay
and
to
watch
rest.
a movie or read a book.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, it's healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and no one told me that. No one taught me that. It was just what was.
It was modeled.
Yes.
It's what you saw everybody doing, and here you got plopped into this family, which is what happens. And I see that, this is the way it must be. Maybe it's supposed to be this way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the kind of things that you begin to challenge for yourself.
Yeah. And really look at. Once you begin to do that, it's not going to be instant. It's not going to be an instant transformation. Now, when you get the revelation, it can be, whew, it wasn't me after all.
Right.
But one of the things we've got to realize is that when we do create patterns and habits, and I'll even use the A word, addictions.
Yes.
Because we can get into patterns, we can get into habits, and that's one thing, but we can also get addicted to a certain kind of thinking. Our mind closes and it hardens, and we don't allow ourselves any room. And so, for a moment, but then we're right back. You know, we find ourselves in the next day, week, whatever, right back. So sometimes we have to be patient with ourselves, and we have to be willing to practice.
Well, Jimmy and I were talking about this before the show started, and I said it's simple, but it's difficult. And he
Yeah.
said like going to the gym.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know, and I, you know, and I thought that was a really good analogy, because you go to the
It's a
gym
great
and
analogy.
you lift the weights, and you know, I'm doing all of these bicep curls, and I've worked really hard today. Well, tomorrow I'm not going to see any difference, and I might not see any difference the second day or the third day or the fourth day. But if I keep doing it and I keep working on it, then eventually my little muscle's going to start to pop, and
There
I'm
you
going to
go.
start to feel different.
Right.
And that's a really good analogy that Jimmy made, because it you're not going to get it the first time. You know, it takes diligence, it takes practice. You have to keep. You know, I talk with clients a lot that you have to sometimes unlearn things.
Yes,
To learn something new.
absolutely.
So you're not just learning.
You got to have
something-
room in there. You got to erase something on the board to write something else in.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I know unlearn's not, you know, grammatically correct, but that's the best way I can describe it. I'm unlearning old
I'm going to
patterns.
call your 6th grade English teacher, right?
That would be Sister Marie Habits. You know, so sometimes I have to unlearn to relearn, to reteach myself a different pattern of thinking.
There you go. Get on your Rolodex. Get Sister Nasty Habits phone number for me.
Right
I want
away.
to get her on the phone.
Right away.
You know, it's been going on for 101 years now. Shreveport Little Theater enriching our lives through the performing arts right here in Shreveport. Shreveport Little Theater is American theater at its best, and the summer musical. Do you know what it is, Carla and Jimmy?
Is it, you said it, and I
Anything goes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Laura Beeman Nugent is going to direct and
Yeah.
choreograph Anything Goes. This should be great. July the 21st is when it kicks off, goes through the 30th. Go to ShreveportLittleTheater.com, and while you're there, check out the 102nd season. Always Patsy Cline, My Way, a tribute to Sinatra. The Wonderettes are back in December with Winter Wonderettes. January, 5 women wearing the same dress. Ooh. February is Dial In for Murder. And next April, Jimmy Buffett's Escape to Margaritaville. You want to get in on the action. Get your season ticket right now. ShreveportLittleTheater.com. 812 Margaret Place in Shreveport. ShreveportLittleTheater.com.
could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell.
Oh man, thank you.
Just like an old
Thank you for playing that today.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we lost a giant today.
I try to keep up with my giants.
Yeah.
And so,
But
yeah,
his music lives on.
that's right.
It lives on, and so thank you. Folks, welcome back. Welcome back into 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. LPC Carla McCormick. And if you want to check out, and Jimmy Bryant, but if you want to check out Carla, 227-9002 is the office number. And she hangs out at 1810 East 70th Street. That is at the corner of East 70th Street and River Road, right over there by Edwin Watts Golf Shop. Yep. So we see a lot of golfers in and out of our parking lot.
A lot of golfers, and I'm always a little bit jealous.
Yeah, there you go. They won't let me in that place. They lock the door. They've heard about me throwing my golf clubs up into the
like
So
this guy doesn't
they
deserve
lock
new
the doors
gloves.
every time they see me coming over. We're talking about, and see, there's an example of my negative thinking again, my patterns, right? And so I probably need to work on that. Yeah.
Yeah, you were just joking.
Yeah, I was just joking. ABCs, our thinking, we ought to be able to change our thinking. It should be as easy as ABC. And ABC does come into the equation because A is the activating event. It's what happens. And we think that's what causes our feeling. But really the feeling is C. B is what I think about what has happened, right? And so, I really need to examine and understand that thinking and the beliefs that are at that B that are packed in there. I need to unpack them. Once I get that done and I see, okay, well, there's some patterns there, and that some of that really isn't my thinking, it's somebody else's thinking, and I accepted it and have accepted it for years.
That would be D.
Okay, so the D and the E, what are those?
D would be disputing.
Okay.
So when I said challenge your beliefs, that's what I mean. You're
Yeah.
disputing that belief. Is that real? Is it true?
And
Where did it come from?
And even if dispute is too strong a word for you, because I recognize, and I think we all recognize, there are some things that we get taught, and we know we are we're cautious to question them, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're kind of like sacred things. You gave an example of one a few minutes ago. Our family's busy. Mm-hmm. Busy. We do. And, we might be reluctant to even allow ourselves to look at that. But the D is about giving ourselves permission to look, and again, going into curiosity, asking those questions. Where did that come from? And, does that really work for me? When you and I were talking at the office earlier, you mentioned the questions, some of the questions that we ask to look at the beliefs. Do I know that's true? Do I absolutely, positively know that to be true? A lot of times we'll answer, do I know that to be true? Well, yeah, I know that heck yeah, I know that to be true. But then when you ask, do you absolutely positively know that to be true? Well, no, I really don't. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Where would I be, what does that thought produce? Having that thought, what does it produce in my life? So that thought of I've got to be busy all the time, what does that produce in life? Exhaustion? Anxiety and exhaustion. Yeah. Okay. So the final question is, well, what would happen if I were to change that? What would happen if I were to change that thought? And then you begin to experience what might happen at E, which is a new feeling, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think E stands for effective new approach, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Effective new approach or new feeling.
A is the activating event. B is the belief about the event. C is the consequences, which is basically how I feel about it.
Right, the feeling or emotion that's
D
produced.
is I'm going to challenge it. I'm going to dispute it.
Right.
And E is how can I be more effective in my approach.
And the new feeling that results from all of that work.
Yeah.
I can relax after all. Yeah, it's okay for me to relax. In fact, I've learned that it's I'm even more productive when I give myself a little downtime.
Right.
Right.
And I'm not beating myself up in my head. I'm
Right.
lazy. I'll never get my goals accomplished. You'll never reach your dreams. You're not good enough. All of that negative self-talk that comes from that one belief that was just planted in me organically.
Right.
When I was a kid growing up.
It's okay to give myself an hour off during the day. It's okay to block out periods of time where I say, I'm out of here. And
It's okay to take a lunch break.
It's okay to take a lunch break. Yes.
Yeah.
It's okay if you have a downtime to go in, sit in your chair, or lay on your couch and take a quick nap.
Yeah.
That can be very, very powerful in terms of renewal.
And those are things that and I think if you think about it, that's my example. But everyone that I've met has an example like that one.
Yeah. So again, different people have different activating events. Of course, there's about as many different thoughts and beliefs and cognitions as there are people.
Right.
So that's a lot. And the resulting feelings is even greater than that. So I guess what we're really saying is we've all got work to do. Yeah. We've all got unpacking to do.
And it's all work you can do. It helps sometimes to help kind of, look at what those beliefs are if you're having trouble. But that's work you can do by yourself in your own head.
Absolutely.
Yourself.
Absolutely. You may find it, helpful to take it out of your head and put it on paper. That's something that a lot of times happens in the therapy room, right? That you're looking at it. So take it out, write it down. Sometimes when you write it down and look at it, you can step back from it and say, isn't that silly?
Well, and one of the techniques I teach my clients is sometimes you have to, if you don't know where that thought came from or you don't even know it's true. Okay, so this morning, if we ran out of coffee this week at the office, and that's my job. But so let's say I get to the office before David, which I usually do, and he comes in and he doesn't talk to me. And then I'm going to assume my head's going to go, oh, David's mad that we ran out of coffee. Right? Now, I can
we actually didn't run out of coffee. We have decaf, but to me, that's like no coffee.
And so I can run through my head, oh, David didn't talk to me because we ran out of coffee.
Right.
So there's my belief, right? Now, I can sit with that all day. Or I can go and say, all right, David, what's going on? Are you upset with me because we ran out of coffee? Because that's the story in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And he can go, no, I was just...
I was pondering what I was,
I'm just have a lot on my mind, or I had a flat tire on the way to work.
And I brought my coffee this morning. I knew we were out of coffee, so I brought coffee.
But you see, that was a story that was a belief or a story in my head that I told myself.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to challenge that belief myself, but I could go
and
to
check
the person
it out.
and check it out.
There you go. Easy as ABC and complicated too.
Easy but difficult.
Easy but difficult. I like that. Strategies for living. Carla McCormick, Jimmy Bryant, David McMillian. We'll be right back. Chronic pain, anxiety, problem sleeping? Think you've tried it all? Wait. If you haven't tried CBD oil from Cannabis with Love, well, you haven't. All CBD oil is not created equal. Cannabis with Love is all about helping people get better. 3766 Uri Drive in Shreveport. CannabisWithLove.com. Our oil is THC-free, organically grown in Colorado and cold pressed, no chemicals, no GMOs. Now, we hear it all the time. This stuff is amazing. No, it's CBD oil from Cannabis with Love, the first store in Shreveport, Bossier to introduce CBD oil. We're all about helping people get their lives back. CBD oil can change your life. You'll find oils, edibles, and more, all with CBD added. People tell us this oil makes a difference for pain, for sleep, for seizures, for anxiety, for cancer treatment, Alzheimer's, and much more. Cannabis with Love, 3766 Uri Drive in Shreveport, cannabiswithlove.com. And welcome back into 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Jimmy Bryant, LPC Carla McCormick, David McMillian, been looking at our thinking. Are we thinking different about our thinking?
Change your thinking, change your life.
Yeah, and actually you're doing brain work. I mean, you really, literally, when you do what we've talked about this evening, you are rewiring your brain. You are into neurotherapy. We used to believe that that wasn't possible, but in the last 20 years or so, we know you can change your brain. We know this thing called neuroplasticity, right?
Right.
And it's powerful. You can literally rewire your brain.
So when we talk about, unlearning, there's a word for that. They call that shedding. So those neurons and those neural pathways that are attached to those negative thought processes actually shed
and open up.
And then you build new neural pathways in a different direction. And
you know what? When you start changing that, when you start changing the negative for the positive, you might even realize, but that knee doesn't hurt as much. That back doesn't hurt as much. More to come on that. Thank you, Carla.
My relationships improve.
There you go. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Jimmy.
Guys.
Folks, thank you for tuning into Strategies for Living, presented by LSU Shreveport, where you can stay close and travel far. We're also brought to you by Azalea Cleaners, by the Robinson Film Center, by Pintail Roofing, by Learning RX, by Cannabis with Love, Hempress, 3766 Uri Drive in Shreveport, and by the Shreveport Little Theater. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call to make, who would you call? What would you say? And why are you waiting? make the call. For LPC Carla McCormick, for Jimmy Bryant, I'm David McMillian. See you next time on Strategies for Living.
Help me share my load.